to the second topic, which is Amazon wants to make a God of War TV show. This was written by Kotaku, by Luke Plunkett, and it goes a little like this. Deadline is reporting that Amazon is currently in talks to turn PlayStation franchise God of War into a television series. While neither Sony nor Amazon were able to or willing to confirm the news outside of any official announcement, Deadline's report says that the show will be overseen by, quote, the Expanse's creators, executive producers, Mark Fergus and Hawk Otsby, and the Wheel of Time executive producer / showrunner Rafi Judkins, end quote. While there will also be input from, quote, Sony Pictures Television and PlayStation Productions, which collaborate on all TV series based on PlayStation games, end quote. While there have been a ton of God of War games released over the last 17 years, I'd assume any TV series based on the games in the year 2022 would be taking most of its creative cues, at least in terms of presentation and tone, from the 2018 game and its upcoming sequel. The deal, if it does indeed make it into production, would mark the latest entry into what's turning into a gold rush for video games to TV adaptations. We have seen other PlayStation series like The Last of Us, HBO, and Twisted Metal, also Amazon, picked up. The former now well and truly underway, having been filming. Having been filming. I would have said have been filming since 2021. Then there's Mass Effect, also Amazon. Resident Evil, which is Netflix, and Fallout, again, Amazon, not to mention Paramount's big Halo series, which debuts later this month being March if you're listening into the future, and that's just TV shows. We got the Uncharted movie last month, which was February, and Netflix is hoping to make a BioShock film sometime in the future as well, and that was announced actually pretty recently, so it's very pre-production. It's not hard seeing why production companies and movie/TV studios are rushing to video games at the moment. As books and more recently comic books have shown, adaptations can be safe money since they're appealing to a baked-in fan base. Many of these video games either have big fan bases or have crafted their own unique, compelling stories that are perfect for small screen. The success of The Witcher on Netflix, which, let's be real, is getting a lore more. This was the weird sentence. Is getting more. I'm trying to figure out what they were trying to say here.
Well, just give us a brief summary. We don't got to read the whole thing.
Well, it's over now. This is the last sentence. But it's like, so the main thing about it is, I have no idea what they were trying to say in that last sentence. So that's kind of where we're sitting at here. Possibilities of God of War. Halo hasn't come out yet, so we have no idea how Paramount is going to take on this Halo series. And we've talked about, since the beginning of Bitcade, essentially, the combination of how TV and gaming, and it seems like as the years go on, this is obviously me talking, I'm done with the Kotaku article, is starting to get closer and closer. Like, they're trying to perfect it, like, as much as possible. Like, the gaming and, like, movie games, so if we did the reverse of things, movies that were turned into games very rarely were good. They most of the time sucked. High percentage of them sucked. So with that said, it seems like they're trying to do the other way, which I think is the better way to do things. It's a lot easier to do something like this. And it comes down to that it's never really been done great. In a 10, like, there's never been something where you've gone, like, I saw the Uncharted movie, last month, the one that Tom Holland's playing Nathan Drake, and you have this the storyline is like the games never existed, and it comes into that thing where now you have to think to yourself, and I'm asking you this, Ashton, too, as well as
Okay.
the audience. Do you prefer that they try to, so you have a couple different options here. Option A, they do exactly what's in the video game. Okay? So they essentially give you the same origin story. It's the same way that they've done it in the game. It's just now it's a movie. Door B, same universe, same characters, totally different storyline. Everything in the game has never happened. This is what it is. Or door C, it's a continuation of what's in the games.
See, I would rather it be them trying to make it canon, but something we haven't seen in the games. So have it be a continuation of the games, maybe something that happens between games. Like, for example, what happens between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. For those of you who haven't played Halo Infinite yet and are waiting for co-op to play it, spoilers ahead, a huge fucking war ends up happening that we only get to see, like, people talk about in the game. We missed a huge war when we woke up, that Master Chief was a part of, that we did not get to play through. We didn't get to see shit about it. That would make an insane movie or series, dude. That would be awesome. Like, there's stuff that we don't get in the games that we could totally get, on a streaming service. Like, I want to see stuff that we don't already get. Because you're not going to give me a better experience than what I got playing the game, because interactive content is just better. So, that's my personal choice, is have something that would be canon, follow, like, the timeline or whatever, making sure it's not contradicting what's already canon and make it good. My only gripe with the Halo thing is that they're making the choice to show his face just because. So I'm curious what they do with that. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, it's a very interesting thing, and it really does come down to those three doors when they're trying to make these things. Because you could easily do. There's a couple different examples of, I think, movies that have done it well, and don't get me wrong, there are movies that have succeeded, but can you really say they were like a 9 or a 10 type of movie? Like, there's really not been
No.
this big giant blockbuster of a movie that I think a lot of these production companies really think that it's gonna happen. Like, Sonic the Hedgehog has succeeded. Like, it did a good job. It's done but it wasn't gonna do it originally. But what we got as a final product was a enjoyable show. Detective Pikachu also succeeded in what it was trying to do, but both of those movies, well, one of them deals with a character that is the main character, and it's just like he's in a different universe essentially. We didn't get Sonic the Hedgehog in his regular world, we got him in our world. What would it be like if Sonic the Hedgehog came into our world? That was the question that it asked the audience, and then it gave us that in this movie, which I think is kind of answering more of the third door than it is the second, of like, what would it be, because the third, even though it's not like in his timeline, it doesn't deal with what he deals with in the game, which is, I think, part of the problem why a lot of these movies don't work. But it also gets lost when movies and shows are trying to do, it's its own thing. Like, we don't have to worry about everything else, because sometimes you lose sight of the fact of what the hell you're even doing. Like Resident Evil just eventually just went on and did its own thing. They didn't care about really how that was kind of working with the games or anything. It became its own franchise. Which some people do enjoy it and some people don't, but it's obviously more towards the most people don't enjoy the Resident Evil movies. So yeah, it's I don't know if I want. I that's the thing is I don't think anyone knows what they really want because some people just succeed at it and some people don't succeed at it, and
Well,
and there's so many different variants that could happen in those three doors. So
well, here's the thing. I think it depends on the franchise. If we're talking about like, if we're just straight talking about like, let's make this easy. Let's go with a show because there's going to be more lore with a show. It's
sure,
going to be more
yep,
lore heavy than a movie. 'Cause
definitely,
movies are fast burners, right? They
yeah,
got to get through it quick. Um, when we're talking shows, like you have to really decide as people making the movie, is this gonna be a good franchise to do? Like, do we want to do the story that they have going on, or is it gonna be a franchise like Sonic, where you have like a million different fucking arcs and nothing makes sense? Like, he's a fucking wolf. He has like the secret weird shit. Like, there's so many different variations of what Sonic actually is throughout its original debut. Like, that's a hard franchise to get a show going. Like, you had the kids show on like Q13 Fox for kids back in the day, which basically followed what it was at the time, was just a lighthearted, not super story driven kind of time in Sonic. But now things are just getting a little bit different. The games drastically changed like over each decade. It's like you don't know what you're going to be getting out of a Sonic and what that's actually going to mean. Which version of Sonic? It's like if you were to do Mario, like which fucking version of Mario is this going to be? Like,
and we are getting a Mario movie
yeah,
by I
and
believe Illumination. So the guys who made the Despicable Me stuff, I believe those are the guys.
yeah.
Making it.
So, but if we're going with something that's like, where the worlds aren't terribly different, but there's like slight variations, it's a little bit more doable. But if you have stuff like Mario or like Sonic, where things are drastically different, like the universes in themselves are different, like Mario especially, you could be in space one time or fucking enchanted forest in a different fucking universe. Like, you have no idea where that thing's going. You have a magic hat one day, like, you have no idea what the fuck you're gonna get with a Mario. Like, which version of Mario they're gonna go with? Is he gonna be wearing a furry tail? Like, what are we working with here?
Yeah,
It just depends. Resident Evil would be much easier, you think, but they can't seem to fucking make a good anything out of that.
yeah, and that kind of comes down to one. I think with Resident Evil, in the gaming movies in general, and this is nothing against the actors who are in those movies. But can you name anyone that isn't top billing in those movies other than Ryan Reynolds?
For a video game movie?
Yeah.
Just Jim Carrey.
And I guess Jim Carrey, but he's kind of coming back. Like, he took a break and then he's come back. So I guess, yeah, Jim Carrey and Ryan Reynolds and, is it Mila Jovovich, or is that her last name? The one that was in Fifth Element and in the Resident Evil movies. But the thing about her is she didn't play anybody, and and again, it lost sight of what the games were and just became its own thing. In which, that is the idea of where do you stop and where does the heart of the original creation? And I think where a lot of this is. Where I think this is what people that read the books, like read books, and when a book gets adapted to a movie, also probably think. And as gamers, I think there's this part of them that, as a gamer, I'm saying this too, is like you feel for these characters. And I think with the fact of, like you were just saying, the interactive aspect of things that you are able to do in those games, you fall in love with these characters and are wanting them to either succeed, or you're fighting, or you're trying to push the character you are in the game, whether that be you playing as Leon, or you playing as Kratos, or you playing as Lara Croft. Like, you are that person, and so you develop this connection with that character. And why people find this fandom around these characters so hard is because you are those characters. And so when they take that and then they throw it on screen, and you're like, who the fuck is that? And that is not Lara Croft. Like, I don't know what the hell's happening. Why did we get another like, you start questioning all these things. Or like, who is that? Why is this is supposed to be Leon? Like, who the hell is this guy? Like, he doesn't sound anything like him. Or like, there's all these different aspects of things. So it pulls these things, and I am super interested. As much as I like Halo, Master Chief is a semi-silent protagonist. So there's not really much emotion going on because he's trained to not have emotion. So you kind of have this thing.
You're basically there for the battles and to like see his relationship kind of slowly build with the support characters.
Yeah,
that's really it. He's not a standalone. You can watch him and be thrilled with every conversation he has.
Yeah,
short, sweet, to the point.
So what? But with the other thing that was stated in that was another show that HBO is producing, which is The Last of Us. And as far as we've been told so far, it does follow the first game with extra stuff, is what we've been told. And my thing is, as much as Pedro Pascal is playing, so the Mandalorian is playing Joel, I don't give a shit to see that fucking storyline again, because I already did it. I don't want to see the same storyline. Why would I want to do the same exact thing that I just got through? I did it already. I don't need to see some other jackhole doing it. Yeah, so it's like, and that is an emotional game. Like, that game is a movie in itself. So the fact that they were, I see that this movie got pushed this show got pushed really fast after Last of Us Part 2. So I'm super curious to see how a game, like, this is literally, I think, the easiest fucking thing that they could produce as a TV show, because the game practically is a movie. And a lot of people actually don't even like the game because it is that way. But, like, I look at it as it is a very, very great game. So I don't see how giving me the same thing like that I got, back in the early 2010s again. Like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And that is, go ahead.
Something else. Give us something else we haven't seen. Like, take elements of what the game is, these characters are, the universe, and just put them in a different situation. Like, it's literally as easy as that.
Well, the other thing is, there's a gap.
Overcomplicated.
There is a gap in between The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. So there could be something that does happen. Obviously, it gets into this thing of like, well, what if people didn't play the game and they're not going to know what happened in the TV series?
And the game's been out for a long time.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I get the aspect of, you want to introduce it so that new audiences do retain and want to go see it. Because obviously people aren't going to go play a 20 to 23 hour long game to get through a story.
They can do flashbacks.
Yeah,
really fucking
they
simple.
could do that. But and the thing is, they could have did it in a way where I'm not dwelling on what I did in the last game for, I would say half a season, and then get me the fuck out of there. I don't give a shit how that all ends.
How long the season is.
Yeah,
because I'm assuming these are going to be maybe like 8 to 10 episodes long,
and they're probably an hour.
Yeah, so I don't want to sit there for half a season reliving everything that I've already done myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. And then obviously, if this show continues on, but it has to get out of the season 1. That's the thing. Is like, this is all going to be the season 1 recap of, hey, do you remember what you did back in The Last of Us Part 1? And so I don't care who they're getting to act. They do get Pedro Pascal to do this, and that is a headlining actor right now, just because he's been in a whole bunch of movies, and he's also in a very popular TV show on Disney Plus, as everyone knows, The Mandalorian. So they don't see him, but that's him. So it's
You do see him. See him once.
yeah, every once in a while. But I mean, like, and now you're seeing him kind of popping up in the movies. He's going to be in that new Nicolas Cage movie, which is kind of funny. And then he's also he was in Game of Thrones, which he does have the HBO connection there. Oh God, there was another movie he was just in too, and I'm forgetting it. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It is. There's definitely a formula I don't think we have yet, and I've talked about it blue in the face in the past about all these different things. It's just now we're getting more of it.
We just need directors and like people who are making the movies to be people that play video games. Like that's it. If you just literally just have somebody who games.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be as much as like fucking me, where I can easily sit down for 16 hours at a time, forget to eat, and fucking play games all day. Like, you don't need to be that level of a fucking gamer to understand the stories and characters, like, and the impacts that they have. It's not rocket science. You just need... It's just... Any gamer... If they just have anybody who plays those games, or the people who fucking make the game just come into console, it would be so much better.
I think that's the missing link, is having the ability to have the developers of the game come in and work on those things. And I know a lot of people, there's been times where that does happen, but eventually it starts to not happen. They don't care anymore. They are like, well, it costs a lot of money to bring
their
in.
Story now.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money to fly these guys out. I don't really give a shit. We'll just leave them back up there in Redmond. And go make their little computer game, and we're just gonna make our show. So it's like I don't know who really has it yet. TV series definitely seems to be working a little bit better when it comes, and it seems like that is the thing that's currently everyone is wanting, especially with people that are still not really wanting to go to movie theaters, or people are still so comfortable and have found the comfortability of staying home and rather watching a TV show on their favorite service. And services are now just so abundant, it starts to get to a point where it's like, am I really saving money?
Cable.
Yeah, so that might be the answering question. Who knows? We are still in the early parts of it. It is currently, as of right now, March 12th, 2022, and those shows have not come out yet. Halo's going to be the first one to come up to bat here, so on Paramount Plus, and I believe that comes out on the 25th. Am I right on that? I don't know if I'm right on that.
I want to say that's correct. I don't remember.
So that will be the first time that we're going to be seeing a TV well, I guess The Witcher did get it, but I also classify The Witcher as a book series, then a video game, but you can see it however. Yeah, and the books go in a lot more lore than the video game does. So I don't know. And that, maybe that's the other thing is Henry Cavill.
Well, Henry Cavill is a huge Witcher
fan.
So
that's the thing.
That connection.
I think
he's
also sold that is
he's
is
a fucking
part
nerd.
Of
I love it.
So that comes into things. But anyway,
yeah.
Let's ring it back here before we finish this topic. And I wanted to talk about who can you see playing Kratos? If we got a God of War thing, let me ask you this first. What would you rather see him in? Would you rather see God of War that we got back on the PS2, or would you back in the he's fighting the Roman god? Was it Roman? Greek? No.
Is that where it's taking place, or is it taking place in the new era?
Athens. Well, no, they don't have a thing yet. So anyway, he's fighting. He's fighting at Athens. He's fighting Ares, he's fighting Zeus, the whole thing there. Or would you rather see him fighting gods like Thor and all the Norse gods?
I would like if they took it back to beginnings, because a lot of people who are experiencing God of War are experiencing for the first time in that last game.
Okay, so now
I'd like them to see the
I'm gonna footnote right here.
full
I'm
God.
gonna stop right here. So that kind of comes into this whole Last of Us conversation we just had.
Yeah.
So do you? It is very. It comes down to that's how the story's writing. So I mean, I don't know. Like, do you tell me the whole story all over again? That I had 7 games to get through, but then again, 7 games is a lot harder. 7 or 8 games is a lot harder to get
Well,
through than it is of the 2 games that came out just recently, and they're playable on your PlayStation 5 right now. Whereas God of
well,
War is not available to be played. So
here's the thing, because like I guess it doesn't really matter which god he's going against. He needs to be fighting some gods, though. I mean, that just needs to happen. That's the
and a war
point.
needs to happen.
Yes, exactly. Um, like the thing is, they don't need to go. They don't need to spend too much time on like the origins of him himself. He can do a lot of that in like fever dreams
I mean,
and
that's
shit
what
like
happens
that.
in the first game. Is they are
Yeah.
fever dreams. So
Yeah. So they can just they have an easy out for that. Like that's like, oh, he actually is covered in ash for a reason. Okay. He's basically a fucking bastard of a god who just murders everybody. He's fucking crazy. Um, somehow doesn't die. Like they need to. They really just need to make sure that they at least just scratch the surface with like the origins of him, because I feel like most people aren't going to care enough, because the target audience is going to be people who don't play the game and it just looks cool and that they're in it for the action. Not necessarily gamers are the only audience there that they're going to be targeting. You know, they're going to be looking at people who like movies like or shows like Last Kingdom or like Vikings. You know, it's going to go to that more like fan base of people who watch those shows and like watch movies like it. It's not just going to be people who play the game. So with that in mind, the best way they can do that is not spend too much time on his origins of how he came to be, and use those as more as like fever dreams and touch on it throughout the series, rather than making it the first season literally the entirety of his origins. Because I feel like for some people that might be too slow. I would love it. I would love that, but um, it's something they have to be kind of careful with it, because like there's a lot of like big name gods that he killed, that you kill so many gods in these games. Like there's what else do you do like with the character apart from that? Like what other stories do you tell? That would be my thing, because this one's gonna be a little bit tougher to write a full-fledged other story for in comparison to like other games. But it'll translate really well into movie or show space because of the genre that it is.
yeah, and the thing is like, did you play God of War? Did you play the first God of War?
hmm
Not
I
the
played the
remake.
PS2 ones.
Okay, because
Well, I watched my dad play them. I haven't played them as an adult.
so I went back and I have the collection on PS3 because that's the way that you have to play it. And so and I've been playing it with Jameson and stuff. So as I'm playing it, this is kind of how the game does go. Is like you're playing it, you're experiencing, you're trying to kill Ares. That's the whole first plot of the whole game. And you're going through all these trials, you're doing all these things to get prepared to then go kick his ass later. You're getting all the powers from the gods and this and that and the other thing. And in that, you're getting these flashbacks, like how you're saying, these fever dreams of him explaining of this little like narration and story of how he became who he is, and enslaved to Ares, and how he got the white ash, and how he got his chains, his chain blades, and that whole thing is explained as these flashbacks are happening. Because when the game starts, you're just already killing motherfuckers, like, and then you fight a Hydra. Like, that's just in the beginning of the game. So, yeah. So that is how that first game does go, and I think you could. This is where it gets into that point of like, I think when there's so much of it, just like how Game of Thrones is, like there's so much stuff in Game of Thrones. I think you can go back and try to go through and explain everything and all over again and like talk about this stuff. You're gonna leave some stuff out, but gaming,
if it lasts more than one season.
yeah. But the thing is also gaming. A lot of those games do get summarized pretty quickly because, as much as there's plot, there's a lot of game in the plot. So, and then and in between there's a cutscene here and there that explains and furthers more of the story. So you got to think like, okay, they're gonna either add some stuff or they're gonna take away some stuff because it just doesn't make sense as a game to this. So I'm gonna wrap things up here, and let's just go back to what we were talking about here. Who do you think could play Kratos?
It could be a couple of people. I think we got a few people picked out, but I know Jason Momoa would probably be pretty good. He can rock the beard. He is bigger. Kratos is not actually white. His skin is ash now. He was Roman, so I don't know if he was black per se, but he was not white. I think he was olive skinned.
He would if he if he's Italian or
but I mean, all his voice actors have been African American or just African, just straight up. That fucking rich, deep, fucking gravelly voice. Literally sounds like they're gonna murder you.
So you also have, if we go body type, The Rock has the body type for a Kratos as well.
I just don't think. I don't think he's a good casting.
He's also
choice.
bald. He's already bald.
Yeah, I don't think The Rock is the pick. He's not the first draft pick. I don't think.
What about Dave Bautista?
No, he's gotten better as an actor, I guess, but he's
he's got the body type. He has the bald look. I've never seen him with a long beard, so that would be kind of interesting to see.
A lot of people think Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy's also on this list.
I don't know if he's big enough though. You'd have to go on the Rock diet.
Hercules
diet.
He has to bulk. Yeah, he has to get bigger as well as keeping that shredded look. Because that's the thing about Kratos. Kratos, I don't know if anyone knows this, doesn't usually like wearing a t-shirt, so he's constantly just this six-pack shreddedness. So, as much as Tom Hardy has proven that he can get to that point, it's that thing of he's not big as in he can get shredded, but he's not ripped. No,
he's never
ripped,
had to fill a
or he's
role
not shredded
where he's that big.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't have the mass.
But he does. He could get his voice that low.
Yeah.
I don't know to the point to like how we have it in the games, because god damn, the voice actors for Kratos are just fucking top notch.
You also have Chris Hemsworth.
He would be a decent choice, but
yeah, he has to get shredded. I've never seen him with a long beard other than Bro Thor is how Disney likes to classify him as. So yeah, it is that interesting.
Chris Hemsworth is pretty awesome, just in general.
Yeah.
He could. I wouldn't bat an eye if they casted him for that, because he can make it work.
Another person, Alan Ritchson, who you may know from either Blue Mountain State or from the new
fucking love
Amazon
awesome.
Show. Oh man,
Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher. I always get the other one mixed up.
I think it's just Reacher.
Yeah, but he plays Jack Reacher in that. He's taken the Tom Cruise role in this.
Big boy.
Yeah, and I mean, if you haven't seen Blue Mountain State, Thad Castle,
missing out.
Thad Castle, the character he played, is also normally not wearing a shirt. You even see a lot of Thad. Okay, so the thing is, but
his lovely Lady Oxana.
Yeah, he does burn that. But the thing is like. I've seen him now in these pictures of him now. I haven't seen Jack
Oh,
Reacher yet, but he's even bigger than what he was. Like, so he put on mass with the.
yes, he did.
So he looks even more broader than he did originally. So like that is a possibility, but he's definitely still skinnier than how Kratos kind of is.
Yeah, but you could get away with what he's got.
It's probably
honestly.
true. Yeah.
He probably wouldn't have to do really anything extra than what he's doing right now.
The other person
He looks like he could pick somebody up, a full-grown man, and just fucking crush his fucking neck with one hand.
It is pretty crazy.
Done.
You could also take The Witcher himself. You could take Henry Cavill in this possibility.
I do like me some Henry Cavill. He's a fucking phenomenal guy.
He's also a nerd. He knows the source material, I'm sure. So he has he's the bulky. He has that bulky, broad shoulder look to him that Kratos does kind of have. I've never seen him with a beard though, so I've seen him with that freaking mustache.
Yeah, I don't think I've had it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Geralt doesn't.
He
really
can
have
get
it.
his voice pretty good and low, so
Yeah.
I mean, there's that. He's not quite. I don't know if he's gotta have the gravelly kind of voice though. I don't.
I mean,
know
Geralt
if he's had
has
him-
that.
Not anywhere
to
near
that
Kratos.
point, but yeah, he does that. We also got Zachary Levi, who I think has. I mean, obviously he wears a little bit of a padding shoulder broadness when he plays Shazam, but he does fill out that suit pretty well to being that superhero. But yeah, he definitely. I've never seen Zachary Levi with a long beard either.
He'd be my last pick on the list, I think.
And then you got Charlie Hunnam, who you may have seen in Sons of Anarchy, The Gentleman. He has that kind of. He has the shreddedness, but I don't think he has that bulkiness that like The Rock or Jason Momoa and Batista really have. Because those guys, obviously, The Rock and Batista are kind of on a level of their own. Because those guys are just there.
Beefcakes, yeah.
So I don't know. It's very interesting of how they could kind of take it. Do they take it more of a realistic sort of aspect, where they're like a 300 sort of thing, where it's this? They're just people that are very just well. I don't know. It's an interesting way. I think these are some other names. I think you had a few other ones, but those were the ones that we kind of were talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could really go any way of how I see how this goes. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the aspect of how, or the things that they need to have are obviously you need the body for it, which is just freaking hard to do. I think it's even the step beyond what the Marvel characters do. You need to have that voice, that that deep, powerful voice, and yeah, that's pretty much the two main key things right there. So I don't know. Any final words?
Nope.
Okay, we're moving on. At the end of a hallway, and as soon as someone gets over to that side of the hallway, they can just start spawn killing you, which was fucking terrible. It does play a little bit different than CS:GO and all of those other like buy shooters, like I don't know what they call them, where you like buy the guns and stuff like that. It's a little different than that.